Hi, everyone. Welcome to yet another weekly session here live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook to talk about the Medical Innovation Olympics. This event that you will not want to miss if you're in healthcare. And there's 1 week left until the early bird pricing ends. I'm the host. This is a group of healthcare industry leaders, experts, investors, scientists who volunteer every year in order to bring a party, a festival of innovation and learning together. This is a type of environment where you have the spirit of the Olympics with Olympic medalists, surprise guests, keynote speakers, patient advocates, huge opportunity to learn, to network in a very memorable format of competition. So there's so many exciting events out there, and this is definitely one of them to be there, to make your voice heard. Um, no, now excitement. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the formula for excitement that we have figured out at this event. All right, we're all excited about a lot of innovation, but in reality, there's a lot of challenge. There are many challenges that healthcare systems have in order to bring that innovation to patients. Okay, work does not seem to stop in healthcare. Okay, which means that we need to make that work count, make our work meaningful. Okay, and to accelerate the access to care, quality, and continuity of healthcare. All right, and in order to do that, to bring that excitement, okay, our formula is competition. Challenge yourself, and to generate that excitement, learn with healthcare industry experts, as I mentioned. Okay, globally renowned public health experts in quality improvement, for example, Rashad Massoud. Longevity platform CEOs, platform pharma CEOs who have funded the longevity industry, preventive medicine, for example. Just to name a few, right? Organizational change leaders in pharma, in health, in tech, market access experts who will be speaking this year as well. Medical affairs, med tech, drugs, devices. We have 6 innovation tracks. I'll talk about the rules in this session, the official rules, the format, okay, in just a little bit. So the formula, once again, for generating excitement that medical professionals and healthcare experts all over the world need today uh, is learning, challenging yourself in competition, mentorship. Okay, throughout the 16 days, you're able to find new mentors, relationships, connect. Okay, it's exciting to be able to share information in over this course of 16 days and then afterwards as well, as we generate a lot of podcasts, articles together. This is a huge marketing opportunity for many of you who are joining. uh, this is not a startup competition. Okay, first of all right, it's not only open to startup entrepreneurs. Yes, many of our competitors are startup founders, but you may be a scientist who wants to repurpose an idea from 20 years ago, for example. All right, because innovation is also includes that as well. Right, being able to find new uses for things that may have not have found the right environment years ago. For example, students who have new ideas, a new vision of the healthcare system, okay, and solutions that they want to offer, or research. It doesn't have to be complete. There are concepts or products that are in play, $5,000 prizes across drugs, devices, diagnostics, medtech, marketing, and medical affairs. 1 week left. 1 week left until early bird pricing ends. All right. And so a little bit about the format here. You're going to register. After you register, you have an opportunity to compete in the Olympic trials. Why should you compete in Olympic trials, and how and what's the format? The Olympic trials is a training ground for you to get to know the expert judges, who include investors, as I mentioned, industry leaders, and also to have an advantage and to qualify for the main event, which takes place in October. We already have a group of leaders that have qualified in June 6th. The next date is September 12th at 10 a.m. It opens up at September 1st, so you can submit your concepts or products across those 6 innovation tracks anytime after you register. The first step is to register for the event. I will share the link in the comment here. All right, so you register for the event. You then compete in the Olympic trials, based on which the top 12 concepts and top 12 products will then go on into the Olympics. Your placement will be determined by your votes. You will receive feedback via email online over the course of 12 days in the Olympic trials. And then September 12th, you'll have a 5-minute presentation with live voting from the judges. Based on how you do there, you're going to be given the chance, in order of choosing one presentation time slot for 10 minutes. So now you have 10-minute presentation during the first week of the Olympics, okay, which open up October 6th. October 6th is the opening ceremony. That's when we'll have all of our leaders, speakers, keynotes, expert panels, who will once again get the conversation, really going, right, across across all of the healthcare participants, attendees, and competitors. All right, there's lots of surprises to come. That's when you will be able to also introduce yourself if you compete. Okay, if you attend, again, this is a huge networking opportunity. Okay, in which you will be able to find people in a different setting that you may partner with, hire, maybe invest in early, get a sneak peek at the innovation early on. We have a strong track record of previous winners and competitors in terms of where they've taken their ideas. All right, so you introduce yourself for 2-3 minutes, depending on how well you do, where you're seated and ranked, as a result of your Olympic trials performance. The first place will receive the first choice for the date and time that they want to present, 10 minutes in the first week. So you have one 10-minute presentation every week. It will be recorded, available on demand. At the end of the first week, all the expert judges will vote. There will be eliminations, unfortunately, but everybody who competes will be eligible for special recognition awards, which will again acknowledge some of the promising ideas or attributes of your concepts or products. There is the there's the most active ideator award. There's the idea with hurdles award, idea sprint award, idea long jump award, demonstrating a long-term vision, idea high jump, lofty vision. All right, idea shot put award, very challenging idea that may need a strong lift, but nevertheless is worth noting and recognizing. For example, again, there will be articles as well. This is a fun event where we actually take performance and we add transparency to it, and we provide feedback on, so that you know where on the roadmap you are with your product, if you have a one that's ready for deployment, or what the relevance of your concept is to the market. Okay, what is it applicability? How applicable is it? And what's the causation from what your concept is to what your ultimate goal is, okay, in the market. So after the first week, there's elimination. In the second week, again, you have one more chance to present your concept or product for 10 minutes. After which, there's another vote. And then after that final vote, you will then go on to live stream semifinals and finals. All right. These will determine our winners, our top winners in the concept and product category. You will have to now present again, and will receive that live feedback from everyone, okay, from all the judges. Okay, and so that's the format. Then we'll conclude with a closing ceremony, reflections on what we learned. And now I want to jump into the highlights video, 30-minute video from last year's event. For all of you who may be thinking about this event or your organizations in sponsoring this event or allowing your team members, whether you're a small company, small life science organization, mid-size or big, large pharma company, this is a place for you to learn again, to challenge yourself, and to create meaning, to set time aside from your regular routine on your demand at your leisure, okay? And in order to be able to reflect and innovate, accelerate innovation in healthcare. Okay, and so this is why you need to consider this event and to spread the awareness of the event on your teams, and also create and support a training opportunity, an important learning and development training opportunity, which should be supported by our industry. Okay, and this is one highlight video which can give you a glimpse into the why, the reason why we tend to innovate when we create new settings, when we take ourselves away from our routine and really try to connect, learn, and compete. Here we go.
Thank all of you for organizing this platform and giving us, all people from all across the world, this opportunity to present our ideas and learn from each other. I went back and saw some of the last year presentations. Some of them were phenomenal. So I'm sure by the time October rolls in, we'll improve ourselves quite a bit by then. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing all of you very soon in October. There's no doubt that competition is unprecedented today in healthcare and medical affairs. Pricing pressures, narrowing margins, PBM reform, right? A lack of investment or plateauing of investments into the medical affairs function. There's a lot to learn from sports perceptions of competition. Athletes all have one life compass. Remember one thing: you can never beat someone who continues to compete. Okay, so continue to compete in medical affairs and in healthcare to discover new power in medical decisions.
We don't want to extend our life only to spend all those extra years in very poor health. So as the population ages, disease-specific treatments may lose impact without addressing this underlying biological cause. I want to leave you with a call to action. Consider how we as leaders in medical affairs can harness the strategies discussed today to tackle the urgent challenges of aging. By merging preventative medicine, biotechnology, and public health efforts, we have the opportunity to create a future where health is not just preserved, but extended for life with better health. Prioritizing investment in geroscience research, scaling best practices in longevity medicine, from lifestyle medicine prevention to precision interventions to the forefront of the emergence technologies will all be vital. We also have to cultivate this longevity medicine, physician workforce, and allied healthcare providers so that we can implement preventative strategies and deploy gerotherapeutics as they emerge. The potential of geroscience is revolutionary. It's offering us the chance to simultaneously tackle the underlying causes of chronic disease and transform healthcare as we know it.
Always open to find another way to make me feel good about what I was doing in terms of jumping. So it's not only about you having the ability, but you have to have this inner self. I had no coach to train me when I was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 until my sophomore year in high school. So it's more inner spirit. It's the feeling of wanting to progress. I knew somewhere there was end result that I would be very successful. I just had this feeling that I had to continue because I've gotten beaten so much that when I did win, I felt so good. I even became even more motivated. It was more predictable. It was like I'm arriving. I'm now faced with another. This is now later stages in my 60s and 70s, and I'm like, man, how do I deal with this? Well, you deal with it like you dealt before.
Like a sports athlete, an intelligent sports athlete.
Absolutely. It's like, let's put 2 and 2 together. Hey, when they diagnose you, what are you going to do? Are you going to follow the instructions? Are you going to follow your doctor's prescription, his advice or his findings, or are you going to fall by the wayside? Well, I'm not a loser. I'm going to continue to be a winner. Open up. You know, there's a point where if you're opening up mentally, things will develop physically into something positive. That is one of the most key experiences and things that I say in my conversations when I open up.
So I want to pass the baton to you to officially, formally open the games.
Well,
please, Bob.
Well, let us just open it up just like I say, you know, you got to open up your heart. You got to open it up because there's a lot of things to digest. And so I would say it's open, Tim. It's open.
All right.
And let's rock and roll.
Let's clap, everyone. All right.
The idea is that what we're trying to do with a clinical trial is we're trying to translate the biology of the drug to the patient population, so the real world patient experience. Now, the other factors that are there are like the real world factors. And sure, those are also important. They have an impact. But the mainstay of a trial is translating the biological aspect. Randomized controlled trials are a gold standard. I believe that my bias is rooted in reality, and that is because these trials are supposed to. Obviously, they're touched by global regulations, by the financial situation of the participants, the personal nuances of each participant. But these trials are not supposed to address these issues by introducing healthcare access solutions. But what they're supposed to do is somehow incorporate this by improving geographic diversity. They're not supposed to advocate for economic equality, but they are supposed to bring in participants of a diverse background to allow for some understanding of the impact. And then finally, when we say personalized medicine for us, that is more a genetic and disease biology thing.
RCTs are definitely the gold standard for clinical trials. That is, let me explain it simply. I would not take a tablet that has not been established to be efficacious through a randomized controlled trial. But the fact that it's been established to be efficacious doesn't mean that everybody who needs it gets it. There is a whole lot of other research, a whole lot of other learning that does not lend itself to the RCTs. And in fact, whenever they've tried to conduct an RCT on that type of research and learning, it has actually failed. A classic example is a Lancet article that basically showed that dexamethasone does not work in premature babies. Well, we all know it works, and we know that that study basically used the right technique to answer the wrong question. And that's what I'm referring to. So when somebody comes to effectiveness research and says, where's the RCT on effective research? I say, not all research lends itself to RCTs. And the motion that I am opposing specifically is not, are they the gold standard for clinical trials? Are they the gold standard for research and learning? They are the gold standard for one type of research and learning, but not the gold standard for other types of research and learning. In fact, they are inferior as a research methodology to other types of research and learning.
We know all the hard work that all of the leaders in medical affairs do, and it is coming. Your purpose, your progress, and your reward all together in one central platform. That's what we're working on, and we're excited.
In the past, we've really had to rely on what we feel like is effective. Maybe what we've seen if there's been a similar situation, but we don't have all the time hard data to base our decisions on, and so we make biased decisions. And I think a tool like this is very similar. I know you love the sports analogies.
You have a good one. Yeah.
But it makes me think about like these elite runners, right? I mean, they're measuring things that haven't been measured in the past. They're looking at their stride length and how much time they spend on each foot, and different aspects of their gait, things that go way beyond time. And I think that's the mindset we have to have in medical affairs. There are things that we can measure more specifically than what we've done up to this point, and that can lead to new data that helps us make better decisions.
Two previous winners and competitors. Tanya Plonna, who was a bronze medal winner last year, oral muscles, as well as Noor Lababidi, also a winner in his own right in a couple of categories last year, most active ideator, and also the idea shot put champion. Okay, is the most challenging, bold idea requiring heaviest effort. That's how we defined it.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Tim, for having me back. I'm really excited to share what's happened over the year. I looked back at the last presentation and realized how far we've actually come. I think it's a nice testament to what you can do with a really strong team, strong advisors, and a strong network, which I think Tim does a really good job of putting together at this Innovation Olympics. So our solution is really focusing on taking it from, all right, the patient says, I feel this, and the physiotherapist says, okay, well, I know this is how it's supposed to react, to giving them more of a common language with muscle data, and therefore really minimizing that feedback loop and optimizing the cycle of care, helping to increase the clinic revenue, helping to increase the amount of reimbursement that can get, and also on the insurance and decreasing that cost per patient and really saving a lot of time and money. The way that we do that is both in session and between session. In session, we have biofeedback, where if you're looking at how your muscle is reacting in real time, you can see if you're heavily favoring, for example, your right or your left, and you can immediately make adjustments while developing more of a mind-muscle connection for yourself. And for each session, we're able to personalize the exercise selection to make sure that you're not just doing all of the exercises that you could do, but you're focusing on those golden movements that really push you forward in rehabilitation, while being able to monitor over time how you're progressing and if what you're doing is actually working, if there's too much fatigue buildup, if there's compensation, and if you can really optimize everything you do. So I mentioned that we were able to turn this kind of theory into results. We have a really, really nice case study with one of our clients where they had a grade 2 hamstring strain, and the prognosis was 6 to 8 weeks for rehabilitation. But with using our system for biofeedback and also optimizing that exercise selection, they were able to return to the field in 2 weeks. So saving time, and when you're looking at the clinical realm, this would also be decreasing that cost.
Since the Olympics, I focused. So to get somewhere, I built an EMR, electronic medical record, with telehealth in Hawaii. And then I got paid pilot with the Hawaii State Rural Health Association, and got paid more than $100,000. Made the customer happy, and it wasn't easy year. So other than the product and the startup, me myself, I think that's the biggest improvement since last Olympic. I learned to become very stressful with the team members, because if under stress, and this message to my fellow founders, yeah, like, you guys are champions. Running a startup is not easy. It's not like an employee job. It's a big competition, so just don't die. And for you not to die, I mean your startup not to die, be kind to your teammate, especially during hard time. So they stay, because the team is the biggest asset. So basically that's what I learned and relearned.
One of the challenges I've always seen when talking with people in medical affairs is it's not always clear what is their objective, what are they being measured by, what are they trying to achieve. And I think getting that clearly stated and known to the team is essential to success in that area. It is very detrimental to take a team, give them a clear vision and a timeline and a set of objectives to obtain. Hold them responsible for it, and then not provide them the necessary resources to succeed. It's a horrible thing to do to someone, to put them in that position, to literally put them in a position where they're capable, they know what they need to do, yet they don't have the necessary resources. And when I speak of resources, it's a number of things. It's access to information. It's support of the other elements and departments and groups around them. And in some cases, it's time.
This whole aspect about empowerment, we see a lot of empowerment, which is great, but we need to see empowerment with accountability, because every employee should be accountable. And so it's not about pointing blame if something goes wrong, but there should be an aspect of accountability, and that is often missing, I would say. And I think perhaps what I see is in larger companies where there's a fast turnover of positions, people leave and they don't look back, and they don't feel accountable for whatever they built. I would love to embrace failure, but we are constantly looking and turning the failures into, oh, this was a failure, but then we did this, and then it was a success. If we can manage to accept failure for what it is without that blame, then I think we're in a beautiful place.
Psychological safety is a necessary, but it only is effective if you pair it with accountability for driving forward to results. And we as leaders have to add that into there. And we need to teach others how to think, how to innovate, how to operate in a way that maximizes performance. And so it's not just trust and safety for comfort, but it's trust and safety to take risks where appropriate, that you want those safety nets on your organization to do that.
Yeah, I can certainly comment on the generative AI.
Yeah.
And its value. In my work, it has been, first of all, I've been using it a lot. So let me say that at the beginning. But the one thing I've noticed about it, maybe two things we should talk about, is one, it has a tendency sometimes to bring in elements that I had not considered. And the attitude toward that has got to be, that's funny. Why that, right? Not, wait a minute, no, that's wrong. That's not what I wanted. The innovation usually comes through accidental discovery in many cases, or being exposed to something that you're not normally exposed to. And I will guarantee you, generative AI will do that for you. In many ways, it's helpful. In many other ways, it's not quite ready for what we'd like it to do. I don't. I'll involve it in what I do to get started, but I wouldn't trust it to do the work. In many ways, I think AI stands more for artificial intern than it is artificial intelligence.
So I recently did some research in this space, and the best advice that I could give is exactly that, is that treat it like an intern whose whole goal is to please you. And they will do whatever you ask, but you want to come from curious when you find out what they bring back to you, because you might learn something new. Why? And you can literally ask these Gen AI engines, why did you bring that back to me? Why did you think that was relevant? And just like a thought partner would do, if you make it their job to please you by telling you why they got there, you'll learn a lot more than by just assuming there was a mistake. I'm an avid reader, and I recently read Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, Be Useful. And I thought it was great, not because it was a great work of art, but because it has a great principle in there, and that is true of most athletes at the very edge of performance. And we find it in most businesses as well who are there, is that they learn from their competitors who do something better than them.
But yeah, I think what I really would focus on is the voice of customer and voice of employee.
Absolutely.
Because I really feel that, I mean, from a customer service, customer experience perspective, of course, we need to do these surveys, and we talked about what biases are within. But like I mentioned before, from an employee perspective, these are the people that drive the company. These are the people that do the work. If they're not bought in and they don't understand that vision and they're not on board, you're not going to have those results. And so the people in the organization reflect the organization, and then that gets reflected in your customer service and experiences and outcomes. So those voices are incredibly important.
And I think exactly what the two of you have offered are very complementary. The one piece of advice I would give people is, as a leader, find someone who will compensate for your blind spots. Make sure that you have them on speed dial and they're ready to help you, because I don't know what your blind spots are, but if you think you don't have them, you're missing something major and you need to find it. Even the guy who researches biases says, I cannot undo my own biases. I have to have a thought partner who sees them for me.
Spending 20 years as a patient, I couldn't really walk in my late 20s, and I had a lot of other issues. My doctor's team told me I was not going to die in the immediate future. And that changed a lot for me. And being an economist, I sort of turned to pen and paper, actually, originally, started tracking what I was doing, and very quickly realized that was not going to get me anywhere. And so I turned all of my notes into Excel spreadsheets. The economists love that. And then started making some homemade algorithms. And in doing so, I started acknowledging patterns. And by seeing patterns, it became abundantly clear to me that there was a lot of insights that the system really couldn't help us capture. And so 16 months, almost to the date from my starting point, I had normalized my blood work. I had reversed my disease symptoms from 6 autoimmune conditions, and I had gone off all my medication, including biologics. At the end of the day, the most important part is, how do you get people to do the quote unquote work that is needed in order to make the behavior change and AKA the health improvements needed for people to improve their lives, live better lives. And so where I think it could be interesting to have a conversation is really around the behavioral piece, how it fits in. Why is it that pharma is starting to pay a lot more attention to this piece? How do we actually start looking at the world not as digital therapeutics in one corner, medications in one corner, and so on, but really start looking at all of these different pieces as pieces of a larger puzzle? And only if we bring all of these different pieces together can we actually make a real change. We're not seeing a very fruitful environment. The only countries that are actually reimbursements ready are a country like Germany, where the reimbursement is so low that it doesn't really give a good economic model for these tools. It became abundantly clear that the ones that actually had the payer connections and so on and so forth, they won the market. I think Livongo was the biggest success we've seen so far with their sale to Teladoc, despite actually being able to improve on some of the most common metrics when you have an autoimmune disease or inflammation by as much as 89%. The agency have declared that they will never regulate what we do. And so we turned another route and did payer audited studies so that we were able to show not only how effectful our solution was, but also how the economics behind it were put together. And so being able to, in our case, save $37,500 per individual that reduced drugs was sort of the path forward. When it comes to autoimmune disease, as much as 65% are what we call non-responders. It's people who are taking their drugs timely and still not getting the effect size that they should have. And so that's the audience that we cater to.
Even on our own research on like medical professionals, what you find is that the pressure of the work is significantly increased. over the last say, 40 years, and the play and purpose of the work has significantly decreased. Okay, if that's what's happening to an industry, everyone's going to burn out. You're not going to get people in the industry. And you also will get a bunch of bad things too, like worse outcomes, people cheating, gaming the system. Now,
there's some states that are actually lowering their standards for qualification because there's such a shortage,
right? So to me, the problem is you got to get the motivation right. I mean, it's so funny. We all understand this. Like, we understand this in our own life. If you're coaching a little league team, you understand this. But we lose sight of this in organizations. It's the same exact issue. So one, start measuring motivation. It's the root. And again, we can show you how to do it. We have the most amazing ways to do it, like deeply AI-based approaches to properly measure motivation the right way. Measure motivation. Because when you measure motivation, you get to a much more accurate understanding. So let's say, for example, I said, Tim, I want to put you into two motivational constructs. One is construct A, where I'm going to really make sure that you love the work. You're feeling play from it. You feel like your contribution is driving things forward. Like you're not stagnant. You're not stuck. You don't feel judged either. Motivation construct B, Tim, you better get this done or you're fired in a quarter. Now, let's say you're in those two constructs and I asked you, Tim, are you feeling engaged? You'd have to say yes in both of them.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it's because engagement is different from motivation. Engagement doesn't capture the sign of motivation, like positive or negative. And so
emotion, right?
Yeah, 100%. And so step number one, so easy, it's just insane. Measure motivation. We have a whole chapter in Prime to Perform on how to do it. We have tools on how to do it. There's just no reason not to do it. Measure motivation.
Yeah.
There's a second thing that's really important. Imagine you are a CFO of any reasonably sized company. When I say reasonably sized, I mean go from like 250 people above. So it doesn't even have to be like 20,000. Like it could start at like 250. And ask them, do you feel like your investment in people makes sense right now? And what they're going to think is not about people in this abstract way, like, you know, Tim's a good person and his skills are growing. They're going to ask themselves, what problems are people solving? Like, what's Tim solving right now? What's Neil solving right now? That would be a good way to answer that question, by the way, because you would start to see, oh, you know, our problem-solving velocity is heavily tilted towards task orientation or short-termism or X, Y, and Z. The amazing thing is today, an organization can actually measure problem-solving velocity by category of work. That is a thing that we can do today. Honestly, you couldn't have done this 10 years ago, but you can do it today. So what ends up happening is you can give your CFO a measure of, okay, you know, we spend $1 billion every year on salaries. And here's how that time is broken out by the types of problems that we're solving. Because right now, you don't see the distortions that the systems are creating. Like the CEO doesn't see the short-termism in the system. They only see it in the outcomes. They don't see it in the system. You got to create system measures. You create system measures, all this becomes like a Christmas tree. You see all the lights everywhere. Like it's plainly visible. But you get those things done, you can see what you want to see. But here's the thing, Tim, you don't need to even do that. Replace the 5 processes. Start with getting your 5 workflows that matter dialed right, and all of the rest of this will just come with it.
Any quick highlights?
One way is to say great day, but great day, I think the presentations were amazing, and just loved it. I look forward to watching the videos for the competition. And
it's only beginning now. You'll see there's going to be a lot of excitement. And I do have to announce that the winner of that very challenging 20-question healthcare trivia contest was Jolly Nanda, one of our competitors. He edged someone out by 16 minutes.
Quite frankly, you've done an exceptional job. I had, some level of expectation coming into this has exceeded it in many ways. So I just want to compliment you on how well you've done.
Thank you so much for your support. Let's close with fireworks and a little bit of music. Let the games begin. So those were the highlights from the opening ceremony last year. And I want to invite all of you to join us this year. There's a lot of people registering now, taking advantage of the early bird pricing. And so I'll see you soon. See you next week. And maybe even before that, you'll hear some other clips from some of the others who have participated before, expert judges, investors as well. Let's close with the new video now, a new intro clip for the 2025 event.